I'm just, I don't know why entirely I'm making this video, but I'm just kind of felt like talking to a camera for like the next, I don't even know how long this is gonna be. I don't even know if this is gonna be my own proper take. This is my first take. I don't really want to do so. I don't really want to make like multiple takes. So maybe I just like this one take is just gonna be it. Not edit anything. Not do anything like that. But yeah, you've probably got. I don't know what exactly I'm gonna title the video, but this is just my I for learning Japanese. This is my just journey up to now, which and up to now I'm like a good bit way through RTK, like little I think a little over 2/3 now, and that might be like someone who's actually gone through a good bit of Japanese. You might be like, that's not that much, but I mean, there's some other stuff I just feel like going through. So I'm just gonna probably talk about some of that stuff. And I have a little list here. So I guess I'll start off. About a year and a half ago now. Now, okay, throughout my whole childhood, I've always liked Japanese culture, or I always was fascinated by everything that. I mean, everybody is. Everybody's just like, wow, I would wish I'd have a toilet that sprayed water up my ass, but because you don't really have that in the states, so it's just like I. I mean, I never really watched anime or listened to J-pop or anything like that. I never really. I mean, I would watch something like the Pokemon anime, but that doesn't count. And I mean, every now and then I might pick up an anime that I liked. But at the time, I was always just like, I don't know, I kind of wanted to. I never really had something that I truly wanted to do. I mean, I've had my other small things here and there, but I'm just like, you know what? I was watching this one anime, and I'm just like, it bothers me, the fact that I have to read subtitles. And I mean, I think the anime that I was watching did have a dubbed version that was popular enough to get a dubbed version, but I didn't actually know about it at the time. And most animes don't have a dubbed version, or the dubbed version is just not good. I mean, I'm not an anime connoisseur, so it's not like that would matter. So, so how I first learned Japanese is I actually got originally I got this dumb back when I had an iPhone. I have an Android now, thank God. But back when I had an iPhone, there was this one. I don't know if it's on Google Play, but there's this one app on the App Store. It was just I just searched up. I'm just like, okay, I want to learn Japanese because I don't like. I just want to. I don't know. I've always been fascinated by learning languages, but like Japanese is like out of all the languages out there, I feel like Japanese is like one of the most practical in terms of because it's a developed country. It's the second most spoken language on the internet. That's another big thing, and also just a general. If you actually do it, there's like a general amount of satisfaction because I think according to the U.S. government, it is the hardest foreign language for an English speaker to learn, even beating like Chinese, which I don't know if I agree with. I'm not 100% sure. Granted, I don't know much of Chinese to make a proper opinion. So, yeah, so I think this app it was fine for teaching hiragana and katakana, but past that, it just kind of started to fall apart. Its lessons on grammar were questionable in how it teaches you. I haven't delved into grammar that much, but I have read a little bit of Tai Kim, and it's not. It just says it's just like wa means is, and that's not. That's not what it is in Japanese. Doesn't even really have a proper word for to be. It's all just kind of assumed off context. There's a massive light right there. It's all just kind of assumed off of context. So, and I mean, I remember the information. Vocab, I did not remember. I think I remembered some of the numbers, but that was it. I had this weird book. Actually, I don't know where I put it, but I had this book, or I still have it. I still use it. There's like a little journal in the beginning. I would like write down little notes about little vocab and vocab that I learned, even though I can just look it up on the internet or something. So, and I was aware of that, but I just felt cool by like, hey, I'm taking notes. I don't usually take notes in class because I don't care, but now I am caring, so I feel good about myself. Realistically, this app that I was using was trash. It wasn't even a free app, which was even worse. Usually free apps are like the ones that get the most amount of flack, but this one, like, it was like $2 or something. It wasn't expensive at all, but still, $2 is more than $0 on like Duolingo. I never even tried. I never even thought about using Duolingo for Japanese, even back when I had the incompetency of using an app off the App Store. But eventually, I started to. It had this built-in SRS essentially, and I eventually I started to get sick of it because I wasn't really properly memorizing any of the vocab. I wasn't making any effort to. I mean, the grammar it was teaching me was complete garbage. None of it was correct. Granted, I can make sentences that might make sense to a Japanese speaker, but they wouldn't. They'd be weird. So that's kind of sums up what how the grammar was teaching. How it taught the grammar to you, and the vocab words were. I mean, some of them were okay. I mean, it had numbers, days of the week, and maybe some colors. But then also had some weird stuff like green tea and I don't even remember like electric telephone or some shit like that. I don't even know. So I eventually stopped using it because I'm just like, do I need to know this? No, I can learn this on my own. I don't need an app to teach it to me. It taught me like kind of what you do. It was good for like enforcing stroke orders, which at the time I didn't even really pay attention to. So, because I didn't really think it was that important. And if you are going to learn Japanese or any Asian language, it is important. Stroke order is important. Trust me. And not only is it proper writing, but it's also just, I think, in my opinion, it helps you memorize the characters better, to be honest, just because you have some kind of systemization in how to write them. But yeah, that's the. No, eventually, I found out about RTK. I found, I actually to an extent was already using mnemonics because I'm just like, I'm, I was trying. I think it was like the word for language. I think I tried to make. I mean, granted, I did not know any of the radicals or what any of the radicals meant on their own, but I was trying to think of like the word for language, which is, I think it's goal. I mean, I actually don't really pay attention to vocabulary. I know the fix, like I think it's called a suffix. I'm retarded. Okay, like the thing, it goes after an adjective, because like eiko is English language, nihongo is Japanese. So yeah, and it used like, I was just saying like, because I mean the kanji for language has like two boxes. I'm trying to describe it. It has like two boxes on the bottom, and there's like some lines on the left hand side, and then there's like, it has the radical for five. I mean, oh, the radicals is say and I, because if you put five with the mouth, then it makes I, kanji on its own. But that's essentially how it just showed me it's not an effective way. It's effective for people who don't know anything at all, not even their own native language yet, to learn Someone just died. Still learn kanji, but um, it's not. Mnemonics are just so superior. And I tried to like make mnemonics just based off how the shape looked, but that didn't really go anywhere. Granted, I did remember the kanji for language, or actually word art, or uh, Heiseg likes to describe it as. But yeah, that's essentially. And so I eventually found out about RTK. I think I found out about RTK through like a broad in Japan or something like that. I don't even know who like Matt was. Matt versus Japan. I didn't even know of his existence to be honest until a couple months ago. But and and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe this actually exists because it was just a small idea in my head. I'm just like, I'm gonna buy this book. And but the thing is that how I don't know what it was with me at the time, but I was just bad at reading. I know that sounds hilarious, but I was honestly not good. So I wouldn't actually pay attention to most of the things that Heisek would say. If he was like, oh, as a radical, the kanji for page, which is like the kanji for page as a radical means head, I would be like, nah, I'm just gonna use it as page because that's more consistent with everything. Realistically, yeah, it is more consistent, but it's more helpful just to listen to Heisek most of the time. Sometimes I think Heisek is bullshit and I just ignore him, but that's a rarity. Because usually it's a word that I don't understand. It's almost always a primitive, like Mastro. I just remember it as a guy in a tuxedo. I mean, I think that's getting into the specifics of remembering specific words over just an image. And the radicals are really, or the primitives that Isaac introduces are really supposed to be images in your head, not. You're not really. It doesn't matter if you remember the specific word. So I think it's fine, anyways. But the yeah, I think I got like through a couple of lessons, but at that, I mean, I was an unmotivated person at the time. Anyone who, realistically, the only people who's actually gonna watch this video are people who know me personally. And if you know me back then, it's just I, I was just a useless individual in existence. So, like, it's not. Yeah, I wasn't super. I would only do like one lesson like a week or something, and for one, this is incredibly slow. And this is in the beginning of the book too. This is before lessons were like 60 characters long or something, which is how long they are now. I looked ahead and I think they get closer to like 20 again later on. But right now they're about like 50 to 60 characters long each. This is back when they were like 15 to 20 only. Incredibly short. But eventually, I don't know how I even reviewed them. To be honest, I definitely didn't use SRS for some reason. I don't know if this was just at the time, but Anki on Android, I heard of Anki, but Anki on iOS costed money. I don't know if I like read it wrong or something, but this is like at the time. I don't even know now. It's free on Android, and I'm sure it's free on iOS because most people are on iOS and no one's complained. But I don't know. Maybe I looked at the wrong app or something because I was stupid. Because I am stupid. But, yeah, eventually. And then slowly but surely, I just kind of stopped doing kanji. I didn't really pay. I mean, I was always just like in class if there was like something that was originated from Japanese, people would be like, "Oh hey, Bren, do you know what this means?" And be like, "No," and it always annoyed me because like I was just like at the time I was very extrovert or very open with how many people I told, which realistically I'm not like that anymore. But I told like everybody that I was doing that, and that would be like And people would be like, "Oh, do you know what this word means? It looks sounds Japanese." And sometimes I would actually know just because it was incredibly basic, but most of the time I wouldn't, and it was just an embarrassment because I was just like, oh, I mean, people knew that I was saying that I was doing it, but people knew it was just like, oh, he wouldn't actually have enough motivation to do that, and I knew that with myself. And eventually, I dropped it off. I didn't quit. Like I didn't say to myself, I quit, but I'm just like, I was like, I'll pick it back up eventually, which I did. If you pay attention to how the positions of matter and the title of the video, I did. But so this is the I eventually dropped it off, but this is the second time. No, spoilers. This is the first time I repicked it back up. And now this is about, I'd say half a year ago by this point. Yeah. So this was in the beginning of this school year. And I picked back up Japanese. And I don't know why. I think it was just that kind of, I hated having that quitter mentality in me. I mean, because I've always had that. Again, if you know me personally, I've always just like, when I like make a Minecraft world or something, I'm gonna make a massive city. Yeah, that happened, and eventually it's just like I wanted to prove myself wrong in that vein. So then I eventually just I picked it back up, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do RTK more seriously. I'm gonna like actually have a strict schedule for how I do RTK. Now at this point in time, I've gotten a little bit more sophisticated. I'd say I've matured a little bit from who I was like a year and a half ago. That pathetic individual. So, and I would, yeah, I think I would do like, I think I would do like one lesson every other day, and I probably would have ended up splitting lessons once they actually started to get bigger. Yeah, I did eventually quit. I'll get to that. But I I would do like one lesson every other day, and then the every other day would be spent reviewing. Again, SRS was something that existed to me, but I'm just like, nah, I don't feel like using it. So I just reviewed manually the traditional way, which and I just don't use SRS still. I don't even talk about it. So, and then yeah, it just like the kanji. I don't know if I was. I don't know if I was not properly visualizing the stories or something, but hold on. Like here is RTK right here. I mean, I'm right. If you see the bookmark, I'm right there. But I would just be like, keep in mind, I didn't even get to part 3 yet by the time I eventually quit. But I'm just like, I don't think I would properly, like, for the ones that I did visualize, it really stuck with me. And I'm just like, okay, I know this method works, but I don't think I'm actually doing it correctly. So, but I didn't really realize that. And eventually I'm just like, I don't want to do RTK, and I just dozed it off and I quit. But I didn't just quit RTK. At the time, what made me, I eventually dozed it off with RTK and stopped doing it. But what put the nail in the coffin and made me properly quit and say to myself, okay, I'm done, is I was watching a video. Now, at the time, I wanted to move to Japan, and I still kind of do, but I'm a little bit more open-minded with how I spend the future of my life. But I'm aware of every downside, and I'm reconsidering everything. But at the time, I wanted to move to Japan, and not because like if anyone ever watched like Matt versus Japan's 3 hour ass long video, I watched that whole thing. Jesus Christ! But if anyone watched that video, he eventually he wanted to move to Japan because he felt like a lesser in the States. I didn't feel like that. I wanted to move to Japan because I felt like everything they did was objectively better. Mainly food. That was I don't even mean in taste. I mean like America's obesity crisis. That was the biggest one. The truth is that if you actually pay attention to what you buy at a store, you can eat healthy in the States. It's not. And I have this irrational, actually, some of it is rational, I'm gonna be honest. I'm sorry, the statistics don't lie, but I had a very clear hatred for the United States. And it wasn't just Japan that I wanted to move to, I think. I was also, once I finally let go of Japan, I was looking at Europe and stuff, mainly Norway. Actually, I have a sticker of Norway on my laptop, and I'm using my laptop to record, so I can't show it. But Norway, it was just like, but the reason why I eventually got over Japan was just because, if you don't know, Japan's economy, they don't have a very, very low birth rate, and their economy, because of that, is going to take a hit because they have to pay more and more debt for Social Security for the older and for their incredibly long life expectancy elders. And I'm just like, I don't think I want to move to Japan if their economy is going to die. Now, two things. One, I feel like you shouldn't drop an entire language just because you don't want to move there. You can still consume content. But two, and mainly two, I don't even think that um, that assumption is completely rational, because Japan, I mean, I've never been there, but they're I do have trust in the government essentially, and also I think they're putting more focus on foreigners to try to make up for the lack of native birth, and they're doing stuff like propaganda. I mean, like, that might actually work. I have no idea. But, I mean, we'll wait and see if Japan is screwed over in the next couple of decades. Will maintain their position as the third biggest economy in the world, behind the U.S. and China. But yeah, I dropped Japan. Every time Japan was mentioned in like some kind of infographic I'd be watching or whatever, I'm just this like I would have two emotions filled me. I'm just like, one was just like, you're just gonna fall apart. I don't. I know, okay. Because one was like, okay, I really, really, why did I quit you? Why did I go away from you? And when I say you, I mean Japan. Why did I just like leave you behind? But then another part of me was just like, well, you're gonna fall apart anyways, so it doesn't even matter. You're gonna crash and burn to the ground, which, yeah. And eventually, but at the time, I had a very bad problem with boredom, because, I mean, during first semester of school, I actually had a very demanding thing that I did. But then that was just gone. I was going to do something, but I didn't end up doing it. So I basically had absolutely nothing to do. And the idea of picking up Japanese by this point was completely out of the window. I didn't even think of that. But I did try to find things. I eventually started like talking to friends or whatnot, and just doing whatever. But I hated just because always throughout my entire life, honestly, I just one of my biggest activities would just be watching YouTube or something. It just felt mindless, and I knew it was mindless. So when quarantine finally like really imposed itself on everything, and my first online school did its job, but eventually that stopped mattering. It stopped making any sense to even do any of it, because they can't even change your grade anyways, or at least where I live. It's just like, okay, now I have absolutely nothing to do. I can only talk to someone for so many hours. I mean, I have talked to someone for 7 hours straight, but I mean, and I'm just like, okay, I want something to do. I really want something to do. Again, Japanese I didn't even think about it. But I did hate having this mindless, this numbingness of myself. It was like, what am I supposed to do? I have no meaning with my teenage years at the moment. So finally, I, but no, it was eventual. It was an eventual um, reinterest. So at first, I was just like, I was watching YouTube as usual, and there's just like these people who they didn't know Japanese, they knew Chinese, and I'm just like, man, I wish I knew like, I was like, what if I picked back up Chinese or what if I picked back up Japanese? And it was like that's a maybe. And then I had this one good friend that also knew Chinese, and she's just like, I don't even know that she didn't even learn it out of motivation. She learned it out of because her parents wanted to for her to learn it. But I even ignoring that, I'm just like, I don't even care how you learned it. I don't even care if you are actually the most motivated person in the world. I mean, granted, I don't think she's fluent, but I mean, whatever. Even if you're not the most motivated person in the world, you still know another language, and that's just like something that I really, really would want to have that ability. And it's just because you can communicate to an entirely new group of people, especially Japanese, and even understand anime. And it's weird having only one eyebrow that you can see of my face. Oh, hair's a mess. So, and then the trying to look for thoughts. But yeah, and at this point, I would be talking to her, and I'm just like, man, I should really pick back up Japanese. I should really pick it back up. And it was a genuine thought in my head, and I'm just like, I, I think I'm gonna pick it back up eventually. It was more now. It was instead of like, okay, I'm done with your like this language forever. It was now more like, I don't feel good with picking back that language back up. And at this time, I still didn't want to move to Japan at all. But but I'm just like, well, you can still read the you can still consume media and stuff. Maybe even talk to Japanese people. And if you ever want to go to Japan, I mean, it's a lot easier. Granted, Japan is a very English friendly country, so that doesn't even matter. But still. And then finally, the one thing that was just like, okay, I'm gonna learn Japanese. I'm relearning Japanese. Is that my friend had this coin. One of my other good friends, not Chinese girl. She's irrelevant now. He had this coin, and he sent me this coin, picture of this coin, and he said, "Is this in Japanese?" And it was. I could recognize it. I recognized it. Like it was in katakana. I don't remember what it said. It was like hachi or some shit like that. But and I'm just like, I don't know. Okay, I can read that. I know it's katakana, and I made a guess, an inference of what the katakana was, just based off how I remembered the katakana. But I'm just like, I don't know if that's correct. I actually double checked myself, and I was correct. But I'm just like, man, I am really, really jealous of like my past self that actually was doing this. I could say it with confidence to people that I was doing this. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm picking it back up, and I first started with writing hiragana kind of over and over and over again, which I mean its effectiveness is questionable on how well it works. I don't know. I'm just like, well, kids in Japan do that. Why not I do that? I still do that for kanji. I don't do as much. How much I actually write is a lot more sparse. Like now, this is my most recent page of if my camera will focus. Yeah, you get the point. So, and realistically, I only write them like at most 10 times, like 5 to 10 times, enough to get the feeling of the character down, but not enough that writing them over and over again becomes my main method. I have doubted if this is even worth any time doing that. Realistically, I think you'd only have to write them like once or twice. If it's a hard character, maybe 5 times. But it is fun. It is fun, and it allows me to kind of resonate with the character while I visualize all the elements in my head, especially if it's a more complicated one. That's where I'm at now. I picked back up RTK as well, and I am now at frame number 500 something. I think like 533. I'm gonna make a guess. Yes, I am correct. 533. I'm at the character that I'm at is entertainment. goes like whoop 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 whoop. I don't know why I did that. So and yeah, I'm a kind of well now I have what I do now and what I'm gonna do in the future. I guess I have to still have to talk about. And this is where I'm at with RTK now. What I do with RTK as of at the moment is I wake up at like 7:30. I do shower and stuff like that. But then after I take a shower, maybe eat breakfast. Sometimes I just don't because I'm stupid. But and I do Japanese from like I started today. I started at I think 9:10. I started at like 9:10 around that. That's an approximation. I don't know the exact time down to the second, but I started at 9:10 and I went to like 11:30 or something like that. Maybe 11. The amount of I did about 47 or something characters today. Pretty not actually as much. I'm doing right now. I'm doing like upwards of 60 characters a day. And anyone who's done RTK, this is like, is that too much? And that gets into the point of why I don't use SRS because I mean I'm on quarantine. I have nothing to do, so I'm fine with like. Yeah, I'm getting a little burned out, but I mean I only have not even 700 characters left. Wait, is it 500 plus 200 is 700 minus? Yeah, like I have like 670 something, like 667 characters left. I think left in this book. I mean, there's part 3 or whatever. I actually have part 2. I don't know if I'm gonna use it. Someone gifted it to me, and I'm just like I guess I'll use it. I guess I'll try to use it. Maybe if it's worth my time. People have recommended against it. I don't know. I might use it and see how it works. You know, I mean, the worst it'll do to me is just waste my time. So, and yeah, I don't use SRS because if I actually used SRS properly, I sometimes use it. If there's a character that's a little pesky, or if it has a weird English word that is linked with it, I'll put it into the SRS. Like words like matrodom, I'm just like, what the fuck does that even mean in English? I never used it. Like interment words I don't use in English, I usually put in SRS. I actually have put 2 entire lessons into the SRS, but even just those 2 lessons, I just don't want. I don't want to get to the point of me doing it because adding 60 every single day would be a lot of reps a day by a certain point. And then obviously there's a counter argument of just like, well, obviously you're gonna need to review them. If you do 60, you're gonna need to review them. And so I do. How I review it, I feel like my reviewing is very questionable. I'm not exactly proud of how I review, but essentially I just I choose a lesson, I do it. I have done every single character that I know once, and that was never do that. It took me 5 hours straight, and it was about when I was around character 800. So if I did that now, it would take me almost 10 hours. Not exactly, but I mean you get the point. Close to 10 hours. If I just base that off that calculation, and I'm just like, I'm not doing that. No, fuck off. So. But, and I kind of just, I usually sometimes make mental note of characters that I'm more likely to forget. Maybe if I'm not able to visualize a story as well with them, or if sometimes I just don't even feel like making one, I just steal one off the Kohi website. And it's not recommended to do that, but I mean, I write my stories off the Kohi website. I don't use Anki. When I do use SRS, I use Kohi's SRS. And now, in terms of immersion, which some people recommend that you do, I've thought about it. I usually just watch YouTube in English at the moment. I do listen to J-pop. I like J-pop though. J-pop is a genre that I found out that I liked about a week ago. King New is a very GNU. Maybe I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but King New. I'm gonna say New. It's my favorite J-pop group. I hope to. I really don't want to be incorrect and make a fool of myself. But I'm pretty sure I mean, all of their songs are in Japanese, or at least the ones I hear. Maybe they're translated or something. I had to look into the history of how they were formed. I think they formed in like Tokyo or something. So yeah, I don't really have much else to say, honestly. It's 35 minutes in. I have a little timer at the bottom, but maybe I might make an update video. Maybe this is going to be the only video on my channel of this cringy ass YouTube channel that is a massive clusterfuck of things that I tried to do and then quit because I do that a lot. I'm probably gonna, if I actually do upload this, I'm probably gonna like private half of them because they're fucking cringy as hell. But yeah, no,